Our cities and landscapes are dotted with structures that are designed not for practical purposes but more for aesthetic purposes, and there's nothing more calming than water fountains, of course. Each fountain has its own unique charm and allure, and some incorporate advanced technology to take things to the next level. So join me, we're going to travel around the world to visit the top 15 most amazing water fountains and water features. Number 15. Fountain of Joy, Kolkata in India. Opened in 1991 as part of the city's tricentennial celebrations, the Fountain of Joy is a spectacular feature that can be found in Kolkata in India. Having undergone renovations since first put on display, it now boasts 150 channels available for water and light effects, which are used to their fullest each night to put on a mesmerizing display. With a center-fed water screen that's 20 feet or 6 meters high and 59 feet or 18 meters wide, it's split into 3 sections: the upper, intermediate, and lower pools. Leading from the upper to the intermediate pool is a huge 260-foot or 80-meter-long cascade of water, and to illuminate everything, a combination of hundreds of LEDs, PAR lamps, and high-watt reflectors are used, so it can change through a myriad of colors. It's a one-of-a-kind fountain in the continent, and amazingly, the use of pneumatically assisted solenoid valves mean that the water flow can be opened and closed up to 12 times a second, meaning the water can shoot through the air in all directions at incredible speeds. Ever since its introduction, it's become a focal point in Kolkata and a source of pride for local residents, and has proven to be the perfect example of how a well-designed fountain can bring the community together and create a true social space in the middle of what's otherwise a fast-paced city. Number 14. Banpo Moonlight Rainbow Fountain, Seoul, South Korea. This fountain, located in Seoul, South Korea, brings the city's skyline to life with its breathtaking display of water and light. Spanning across the length of the Banpo Daegyo Bridge, which crosses the Han River, it's become a must-see sight for visitors and a source of pride and joy for residents too. Stretching 1,870 feet or 570 meters on either side of the bridge, it uses an impressive 380 nozzles to spray water that's been sucked up from the river, and combines it with a display of lights and music. The synchronized jets, hundreds of colorful LEDs, and powerful speakers along the bridge and the banks make for an incredible experience, and they're designed to evoke the ideas of waving willow branches and willow leaves like the ones that line the riverbank. Each show lasts around 20 minutes, and they're put on between 5 and 8 times a day during the summer months, with special events also planned around them to further entertain everyone that goes to see the fountain. The shows change throughout the season and are different during the day and evening, with special guest artists and musicians often invited to help choreograph displays. It does make for the perfect addition to Seoul's skyline, attracting thousands of people to each performance, and because of its success, it's also led to further development around it, with picnic areas, an outdoor stage for other performances, and an ecological observation site that focuses on maintaining the delicate ecosystem around the river. Number 13. La Joute, Montreal, Canada. La Joute is a huge public art installation located in Montreal that was created to be a striking representation of the city's industrial past. Designed by renowned sculptor Jean-Paul Riopel, it stands proudly in the heart of Montreal's Quartier International, near the Palais des Congrès. It was originally built in 1969 elsewhere in the city, but it was controversially moved in 2003. But since being installed in its new home, it's re-established itself as part of Montreal's identity. At the center of the fountain is a towering bronze sculpture that weighs several tons and portrays a large group of abstract human figures engaged in a dramatic and energetic dance. This dance symbolizes the bustling activity of the city, in homage to the workers whose labor contributed to its growth and prosperity. At regular intervals, the sculpture comes to life. Water jets shoot up from the ground around the sculpture, and fire bursts forth from the figures' heads, creating a dramatic contrast between the two elements. The combination of water and fire signifies the interplay between the life and industrial forces that have shaped Montreal over the years. Operating on a kinetic sequence, each display lasts for around 32 minutes, with various different stages that also include a mist and cloud effect. It's another great example of how a fountain can become a centerpiece of a city and can use more than just water to create a visual spectacle. Number 12. Fountain of Wealth, Singapore. Built in 1995 as part of Suntec City, which is one of the largest shopping malls in Singapore, the Fountain of Wealth holds the record for being the largest fountain in the world, not because of the height that it reaches, but the amount of space it covers and water that passes through it. In Chinese culture, water is seen as a symbol of wealth and life, and the design was chosen with inward-flowing water because in Feng Shui, it represents the riches pouring in. The ring, too, is meaningful in that it's based on the Hindu mandala, which means universe, and is the representation of harmony of all races and religions in Singapore. It's made of silicon and bronze, as well as the main jets of water. There's also a smaller fountain in the center and the water screen. The jets are active during most of the day, but there are certain times that they're switched off to give visitors a good chance to walk inside and walk around the miniature fountain at the center 3 times for good luck. They're also turned off at night to fully reveal the water screen, which is used for a huge laser display that continues to the early hours. As well as being an impressive structure itself, its design was taken into account with the full shopping mall, with the buildings taking the form of the fingers on a hand and the fountain being in the middle of the palm, and it truly has become the center of activities around the area, with people choosing to go there solely to see the fountain itself. Number 11. Metamorphosis, Charlotte, North Carolina. Metamorphosis, located in the Whitehall Corporate Center of Charlotte, North Carolina, is an amazing interactive art installation that takes the concept of a fountain and blends it with modern art. Designed by Czech artist David Czerny, this 14-ton stainless steel sculpture stands as a brilliant example of creativity, and it's no surprise that it's become such a popular attraction in the city. The main feature of Metamorphosis is an enormous head, which is made up of large vertical segments of stainless steel. Each of these segments is meticulously crafted to move independently and together form a dynamic and kinetic structure. At regular intervals, the sculpture comes to life as the pieces rotate and align and transform the head's arrangement into a coherent face. It's the interactivity, though, that makes Metamorphosis truly unique, as it's equipped with sensors that allow the sculpture to react to the presence of people as well as changes in weather conditions. Visitors can trigger the rotation of the segments by clapping or speaking, so they actually become an active part of the metamorphic process. Symbolizing the ever-changing nature of life and the city's continuous evolution as it morphs from chaos into harmony, it's meant to reflect the dynamic growth of Charlotte as a thriving urban space. As such, it's become a symbol of Charlotte's commitment to public art and creative expression, with the hope that it will inspire the next generation of artists. Number 10. King Fahd's Fountain, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. King Fahd's Fountain, also known as the Jeddah Fountain, is a stunning landmark that can be seen in Jeddah. Standing proudly on the coast of the Red Sea near the bustling city's waterfront, it's one of the tallest and most impressive fountains you'll find anywhere. It was commissioned by the late King Fahd bin Abdulaziz Al Saud in 1980, and it was built to mark the inauguration of the city's desalination plant. The fountain's size serves as a symbol of Saudi Arabia's prosperity and modernity, while also honoring the late king's vision for the city's development. The fountain is an amazing achievement of engineering, with water reaching an incredible height of around 1,000 feet, or over 300 meters, which is taller than the Eiffel Tower. The water is propelled into the air at speeds of about 230 miles per hour, or about 375 kilometers an hour, and this creates a breathtaking spectacle that can be seen from many miles away. The fountain operates daily and puts on an even more impressive display during the evening when the powerful lighting system illuminates the water jets in an array of vibrant colors. The sight of it against the backdrop of the Red Sea and the city skyline is one of the most famous and popular nighttime events in Jeddah and attracts locals and visitors to see it in its full glory. It is, though, more than just a stunning display of water and light. It also plays a practical role in the city's efforts to combat the heat. The cool, misty breeze that's released from the fountain brings relief to those strolling along the nearby Corniche, providing a respite from Jeddah's scorching temperatures. Over the years, this fountain has become an integral part of Jeddah's identity, and as such a recognizable landmark, it's been featured in numerous films, documentaries, and photographs, solidifying its status as a world-renowned fountain. Number 9. Stravinsky Fountain, Paris, France. Paris is, of course, known for its historical love of art, with some of the biggest museums and galleries in the world. But it's not just at renowned institutions like the Louvre that you'll see this. As it's so ingrained within the city's DNA, you'll find glimpses and sometimes stunning installations along the streets as well. In the Place des Stravinsky outside the Pompidou Center, which itself houses a vast library, a modern art museum, and a musical research institute, is an amazing fountain called the Stravinsky Fountain that inspired by and represents the works of famous composer Igor Stravinsky. Created in 1983 by the sculptor Jean Tinguely and Niki de Saint-Phalle, It's a beautiful display of color, movement, and sound based around a mobile-like sculpture that's made up of 16 whimsical and abstract figures, which represent some of Stravinsky's most famous musical compositions, such as The Firebird, The Rite of Spring, and The Kiss. They're made of a combination of metal and mosaic tiles, each adorned with bright, bold colors. These vivid hues and dynamic forms contribute to the fountain's festive and energetic ambiance, and the way they reflect sunlight means that you'll see new flourishes each and every time you pass by. Great effort was made to ensure it's interactive too, with water jets that shoot up from the ground and around the sculptures that create an engaging and playful environment. Visitors, especially children, can't resist the urge to run through the jets and almost become part of the art installation themselves. While Stravinsky was Russian, he had French citizenship between 1934 and 1945, so became an adopted celebrity of Paris, and to this day is seen as one of the city's greatest musicians. It's fitting then that such a whimsical fountain was built in his honor, one that helps introduce subsequent generations to a man that is seen as one of the most influential composers of the 20th century and a hugely important figure in modernist music. Number 8. El Alamein Fountain, Sydney, Australia. In the heart of Sydney, in Australia, in the King's Cross area, is a stunning war memorial that was first unveiled in 1961 that's known as the El Alamein Fountain. Commissioned to commemorate the Second World War's pivotal Battle of El Alamein, where Australian troops prevented the progression of Axis forces into Egypt and turned the face of the war in North Africa, it was designed by Australian architect Bob Woodward and reflects the influence of the post-war modernist movement, featuring a dynamic arrangement of bold geometric shapes and cascading water elements. Described as looking like a blown thistle or a dandelion, it's made from bronze with brass pipes and has small nozzled spray heads that emit a fine mist that's easily blown about in the wind. Its base has 3 levels to allow the water to cascade down, and the result is an ethereal fountain that's constantly changing and adapting along with the environment. At night, it's illuminated too, which creates an even more dazzling display for passers-by, and it becomes one of the most recognizable landmarks in the city. Its location in King's Cross was specifically chosen not only to enhance the area's natural beauty, but to act as a focal point in what was then a rapidly developing area, and it's taken on that role to such an extent that it attracts visitors from all around, and it's now one of the main meeting places in the city. As a reminder of the sacrifices made in the war, and as such an important feature of the city, the fountain was added to the New South Wales State Heritage Register in 2011, which affords it certain rights and protections, and means it'll be pride in place in Sydney for many years to come. Moving on to number 7, the giant Swarovski Crystalwelten, Wattens, Austria. Swarovski Crystalwelten, which translates to mean crystal worlds, is an attraction in Wattens, which is in the Tyrol region of Austria, and was created by famous Austrian artist André Heller to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Swarovski, the crystal glass manufacturer. Opened in 1995, it's made up of a park, an art museum, a retail center, and a restaurant. And while the museum is spectacular in its own right with 14 chambers of wonder, the feature that stands out the most can be found in the park that surrounds it and guards the entrance to the museum. Known as the Giant, it's a huge head that emerges from a grass-covered hill and is adorned with crystals to give it glimmering eyes and a bedazzled nose. Water pours from the figure's mouth into the small pool below, and while this may not be the tallest or fastest fountain in the world, it's definitely one that features the most glass crystals. As far as entrances to exhibits go, this surely has to be up there with the best of them, and it serves as the perfect welcome to visitors who are exploring the various artworks around the gardens and wanting to see the crystal artwork inside, including the Crystal Cloud that's made with 800,000 crystals and the largest Swarovski store in the world. If you're ever in the region, it's worth visiting just to see the Giant's head itself, and the further you delve, the more you'll fall in love with this visual masterpiece. Number 6. The Fountains of the Bellagio, Las Vegas. They're the most famous fountains in the United States and probably the most recognizable in the world, and they're so spectacular that the Fountains of the Bellagio are one of the first things that come to mind when you think of Las Vegas. They're located in front of the Bellagio Hotel and Casino on the Las Vegas Strip, and every day they put on an incredible display that's become one of the most popular sights to see in the city. Imagined by the owner of the Bellagio at the time and built by Wet Design, which is a company specializing in creating innovative water features, this fountain system covers an area of over 8.5 acres, and it's made up of 1,200 individual nozzles and 4,700 lights. Each is able to operate independently and can shoot water into the air as high as 460 feet or 140 meters, and it's believed to have cost more than $40 million to complete. The movement of each jet and light is carefully choreographed to put on magical displays, and the show's repertoire includes a diverse selection of songs, from classical pieces to contemporary hits. Each are carefully chosen to evoke emotion and enhance the visual spectacle. The combination of soaring water jets, captivating lights, and an array of music genres creates an unforgettable experience that leaves audiences in awe. The fountains operate multiple times throughout the day and night, with shows typically taking place every 30 minutes in the evenings. As the sun sets, the fountains come alive in a breathtaking display of precision and artistry and are sure to draw a huge crowd who invariably end up going into the casino afterwards. The fountains of Bellagio have been featured in numerous films, television shows, and commercials, and have also become a favorite spot for proposals, weddings, and other special moments. Almost 300,000 shows have now been performed there after opening in 1998, and it's probably no surprise that this is one of the most photographed locations in the entire country. Number 5. The Magic Water Circuit, Lima, Peru. The Magic Water Circuit is a majestic display of fountains, lights, and music that's become one of the city's most popular attractions. Found in the Parque de la Reserva, the water feature is made up of 13 distinct fountains, along with many more elements, so it holds the record for being the largest fountain complex in the world. The park itself was first opened in 1929 in honor of the civilian reservists who fought in the War of the Pacific, and while it became an integral part of the city, it was decided that an installation was needed to attract more people to the area. The Magic Water Circuit was opened in 2007 as part of the project to revitalize the park and promote tourism in Lima, and was designed by the architect Ricardo Bueno. Each of the fountains has its own unique design and theme, from elegant dancing water fountains to interactive tunnel fountains that visitors can walk through. Each installation takes you on a different journey. One of the main highlights is the Magic Water Circuit, which is a mesmerizing fountain display that combines water, light, and music in a stunning choreographed display. The fountain has jets that can shoot water up to 262 feet or 80 meters into the air, and as the water jets dance and sway in perfect harmony with the music and lights, spectators are transfixed. Another popular fountain is the Tunnel of Surprises, where visitors can walk through an illuminated tunnel created by water arches that change colors and patterns as they pass through, and it's designed to be interactive with the ability for each person to disrupt the flow of water. It puts on a different display every time. While it's great no matter what time of day you go, the fountain complex is best experienced at night, when the vibrant colors and dazzling lights show their full effect. The park offers regular evening shows with music and light displays, drawing huge crowds of locals and tourists, making it an absolute must for anyone visiting Lima. Number 4. Jeddah, Geneva, Switzerland. As one of the centerpieces of Geneva in Switzerland, Jeddah is an iconic fountain that rises up from the waters of Lake Geneva, and it's one of the tallest of its type in the world. Unusually though, it wasn't originally built for its aesthetic qualities and instead had a very different purpose. It dates back to the late 19th century when upgrades were being made to the city's utility provisions and began life as a pressure relief valve for a hydraulic power network. Its primary function was to control and release excess water pressure from the city's water supply to prevent pipes from bursting. But its beauty and popularity quickly transformed it into a beloved landmark, and it was later moved to its current location in 1891. When at full power, it shoots water up to 459 feet or 140 meters into the air and casts a fine mist over the lake. The fountain's ethereal plume of water glistens in the sunlight and captures the colors of the surrounding landscapes, which is a spectacular and ever-changing sight from all around the lake. The fountain operates year-round except during some days in the winter when freezing temperatures form ice that blocks it. And at night, it's illuminated by 21 lights. Amazingly, at any time there's around 1,800 gallons or 7,000 liters of water in the air, all of which has been thrust through the 4-inch or 10-centimeter nozzle at a speed of 180 feet or 55 meters per second. You can see it from all around the city and the lake, and even when you're flying above Geneva at altitudes of up to 30,000 feet or 10,000 meters. Visitors wanting to see it up close are able to walk up to the fountain across a stone jetty, but if you decide to do so, you better be prepared to get wet, because just the slightest change in wind direction can cause a torrential downpour straight on top of you. Number 3. Cascades of Hercules Monument, Kassel, Germany. The Hercules Monument, also known as the Hercules or Herkulesbau, is a copper statue in Kassel, Germany that depicts the notorious ancient Greek demigod Heracles. Stood above a pyramid which itself is on top of an octagon, it was built between 1701 and 1717 and is one of the most famous landmarks in the region, and including the pyramid and octagon reaches a height of 231 feet or about 70.5 meters. Not content with just the statue though, a project began in 1714 to build a series of cascades beneath it that see water pour down an 820-foot or 250-meter stone structure that resembles a staircase. The water emerges from beneath the Hercules Monument and then passes over the Cascades, the Steinhofer's Waterfall, the Devil's Bridge, and then down an aqueduct before entering a lake where there's a fountain that sends the water to a height of 160 feet or 50 meters. Amazingly, none of this is motorized, and instead it's all controlled by a series of reservoirs and underground pipes with locks that are controlled manually, leaving the natural pressure and gravity to do most of the work. With a height difference between the top of the statue and the bottom of the Cascades being 587 feet or 179 meters, this is undoubtedly one of the most spectacular and impressive water features anywhere in the world. And it's all the more impressive considering it's over 300 years old. As such, it was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2013, both because of its Baroque architecture and for the intricate water features. Today, it remains a tourist attraction, just like it's ever been since it first opened, and people travel far and wide to see it for themselves. It's not active permanently, though, and the full spectacle can only be seen during summer from May to October, and on Wednesdays and Sundays. There is, too, the chance to see things taken to the next level, as on a few special days each year, 92,000 gallons or 350,000 liters of water are released down the Cascades in the evening, with a series of lights illuminating every ripple, twist, and turn, which combines modern technology and historic design in a pretty stunning way. Number 2. Dubai Fountain. Dubai, it's a city that's known for taking things further than anywhere else. After all, it's home to the world's tallest building. But just in front of the Burj Khalifa, you'll also find another record breaker, the Dubai Fountain. Developed by the same team behind the famous Bellagio fountains in Las Vegas, it holds the record for being the largest choreographed fountain system in the world, and amazingly spans over 900 feet or 275 meters in length, and features hundreds of powerful water jets that can shoot water up to 500 feet or 150 meters into the air. It's arranged in 5 circles with the 30-acre Burj Lake. The jets are complemented by 6,600 lights and 75 projectors with a combined output of 1.5 million lumens. It does create a stunning display that choreographed to a range of musical pieces from classical to contemporary Arabic and world music. When it's fully operational, there's as much as 22,000 gallons or more than 83,000 liters of water in the air at any given moment. And you can even take a boat ride on the lake when this is happening to have a chance to see it up close. The Dubai Fountain shows take place every half hour in the evening, making it a regular and accessible attraction for both residents and tourists. And each time, huge crowds gather along the shores of the lake to see that evening's performance. Surprisingly, despite the seeming excess, the fountain has been designed to be as environmentally friendly and sustainable as possible, with systems in place to ensure the water used in the fountain is recycled and that the entire system operates on energy-efficient equipment in line with Dubai's aims of becoming a green city. There's no doubt that, of all the fountain displays in the world, this is by far the most spectacular and just shows how impressive water feature technology has become in recent years. The vast size of the Dubai Fountain, along with the energy and water usage, means it'll be hard to beat. But there's already several countries looking at trying to go even bigger and better. So, within a few years, it could well be outdone by a newcomer. Number 1. Trevi Fountain, Rome, Italy. While technology-laden fountains may well put on an incredible show, there's nothing quite like a traditional design that dates back hundreds of years. And probably the most famous one of all of these can be found in central Rome in Italy. A masterpiece of Baroque art and architecture, the ornate Trevi Fountain is at the junction between 3 roads, and it's from this location that it gets its name, which translates to mean 3 roads. Standing 86 feet or 26 meters high and 161 feet or 49.1 meters wide, its origins date back to the 18th century, when Pope Clement XII commissioned its construction to replace one that previously stood on the site. The design of the fountain went through several architects before the final version was completed by Italian architect Niccolo Salvi in 1762. Incredibly, it's fed by an aqueduct that was built more than 2,000 years ago by the Romans and brings calcium-free water from a site around 8 miles away. Sculpted from travertine stone which was excavated from Tivoli around 22 miles away, the central figure of the fountain is the massive and elaborate sculpture of Oceanus, the god of the sea, riding a chariot pulled by 2 seahorses and 2 tritons. Oceanus stands under a triumphal arch, symbolizing the majestic power of water, and is flanked by statues representing abundance and health on one side and fertility and prosperity on the other. Anyone who has visited Rome is probably familiar with this fountain, and in particular a tradition that you're meant to take part in by tossing coins into the water. According to legend, if you throw a coin over your left shoulder with your right hand into the fountain, you ensure your return to Rome one day, while throwing 2 coins in may lead to finding love, and 3 coins symbolize the promise of marriage or a happy and fulfilling life with the one you love. Every day, many thousands of visitors take part in this tradition in search of good fortune, and this all adds up with millions of euros collected from the fountain each year. This money is used for charitable purposes, such as running a supermarket for the poorer citizens of Rome, and there are strict rules in place to prevent anyone from opportunistically stealing any of these coins. As with many things, imitation is a form of flattery, and the Trevi Fountain isn't actually the only one that looks like this in the world. It is, of course, the original, but if you aren't able to travel all the way to Italy to see it, you can instead visit precise but smaller replicas of it in Serra Negra in Brazil, in the Jamsil Metro subway station in Seoul, South Korea, and of course Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. I'll see you all next time. Thank you to our channel members.